Steven here. I made it back home. Took me a little while longer than I thought it was. Shout out to my buddy Taylor. Um, I wanted to talk a little bit about some political stuff that's going on in the world right now and how it relates to changes that are happening. Um, First off, I mean, I hope you know this by now if you listen to me, but I don't really care about my my political stance is not Republican or Democrat or third party candidate or anything like that. I don't believe there should be nation states. I don't believe there should be money. So I don't fall into an easy category. I call myself a utopian. But what they're doing in CHAZ is interesting. For those of you that don't know, CHAZ means Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone. It's an area of about 6 blocks in downtown Seattle, and it encompasses the 6th Precinct Police Department, which protesters or rioters or Antifa or whoever these people are, because I imagine it varies. They essentially acquired a piece of U.S. territory and seceded, and the political powers that be in the area don't really want to take it back for the city. So there's blockades. You have this group that is acting as a de facto police force. The John Brown Gun Club, I believe is what it's called, is actually an Antifa wing that supports the Second Amendment. They've set up blockades all throughout this little 6 block area and have stop and frisk set up where they stop everyone who wants to come through, and armed people then make sure they don't have any weapons or they're not white supremacists or cops trying to sneak in. It's it's pretty hilarious when you think about it. Well, let me keep going and I'll show you where I'm going. You have these mobs that have consolidated into this group, which I believe up until recently was warlorded. How's it going, Graham? He's the de facto warlord. He's a rapper. I can't remember. I think his last name's Simone. I can't remember his first name. Nas Simone or something. Nah, that's not right. Whatever. A rapper dude that became warlord of this de facto like tribe that seceded from the Union. Okay, but this is what's ironic. These people are very left wing, very liberal, which I consider myself to be. I'm all about supporting people who need a hand up, etc. I loved the Daily Show growing up, so I have certain leanings that are definitely considered more liberal. But I want to point out the irony here. They don't want Trump to make a border wall between America or United States and Mexico. They don't want a heavily armed police force going around and frisking people and intimidating them. And these are two things that they instituted immediately within their own little de facto tribe. So it's pretty interesting to see like where their actual political leanings lie. Like they don't really believe in the things they say they believe in because they automatically instituted the things that they supposedly hate. this is ridiculous. Like, I don't think stop and frisk is cool. I think it's pretty fucked up. And these people automatically instituted it in a place where stop and frisk didn't even exist. And we're not talking about Cuomo here in New York. We're talking about Seattle. I don't like seeing an armed militia walk around whenever I know that I could be targeted because of the color of my skin. Like, they're stopping people who they think are white supremacists. And a white supremacist could be someone to them who just has, you know, anything right to their political point of view. Like, let's say that let's say I don't support affirmative action, which I don't. I think it's ridiculous to judge the quality of a candidate for a job based on the color of their skin. So I think affirmative action is retarded as hell. That is to the right of these political extremists. That would label me a white supremacist in their eyes, even though I'm not at all. I am a race realist. I look at things like population IQ statistics and stuff, and I realize that white people aren't supreme. It's pretty obvious whenever you look at the IQ statistics. I mean, Jewish people by far have the highest IQ on planet Earth. And under that is East Asians. And then under that is Norse Caucasians, people from Minnesota, I believe is what the actual data said, and people from Northern Europe. So like Viking-esque people. So I acknowledge this. I know that white people aren't superior in that regard. I mean, look at all the famous Jewish scientists. Like, there wouldn't have even been quantum mechanics if it wasn't for Jewish people. Like, it was so heavily Jewish that Hitler called it a Jewish science. Like, Jewish people are brilliant. I mean, if you look at the world like Monopoly, I mean, the Rothschilds have got control of the board. Like, you can't go around that motherfucker and not spend a lot of money and it go back to them. So, I mean, I don't think that white people are supremacists or supreme at all. But if I were to travel into this colony that they have, I mean, because they've become a colonist, they've become a colonial presence, and they always hate on America, white America, for being colonialist and going in and taking land that didn't belong to them and putting their flag in it and forcing everyone out, or through the use of threats of violence, etc., or through the use of violence. That's exactly the same thing that these people are doing. So this is like, is this not? How can they not see this as hypocritical? I mean, and if you want to look at the hypocrisy of the news media and how they protested, pardon the pun, but they protested the protesters who were protesting the fact that the lockdown was hampering their ability to feed their families, or they're losing their business, or they're just tired of getting treated like cattle by their government and told they can't leave their own home and interact with their fellow human beings or be in nature, for Christ's sake. So people were protesting this, and the media was like, "Oh, this is horrible. You're killing grandmas. You're spreading this horrible virus that's going to be the end of the fucking world." I know no one who died from this shit. I guess a point. That's pretty funny, Graham. Like the old German helmets from World War One. Supposed to be the spears of some German king, a Christian. Who was it? Anyways, so you have the news media saying that people who are going out and protesting the lockdown are evil, bad people, and they were going around busting up Jewish funerals and busting up religious services, arresting people, finding them, going to people's gyms and finding them for trying to take care of their bodies or work out for vanity's sake or whatever. There is not my place to judge what anyone wants to do, and I feel like in America you should be able to travel freely and especially participate in things like, religious ceremonies and fucking funerals. I mean, that's fucking horrible. How can you bust up a Jewish funeral? But at the same time, a couple weeks after these people were, getting arrested for protesting the lockdown and getting called, murderers for spreading coronavirus, which is all fucking bullshit. A couple weeks later, you have the whole incident with the murder of George Floyd by fucking horrible cops. And don't get me wrong, I I feel like if anything good comes out of this, it'll be cops will be more scared to commit acts of violence, um, at least against minorities, which is fucking great. I mean, hopefully against everybody, but that's neither here nor there. The death, the murder of George Floyd caused this to happen, supposedly. I find it very suspicious that a day after George Floyd died by a knee to the neck from a cop, you have a guy dying in Paris with a knee to the neck by a cop. And the picture being taken looked identical to the picture of George Floyd. And you got to remember, America and France, they've had revolutions together before. Adam Weishaupt, on the back of his horse, riding from Bavaria, gets struck by lightning, and the Illuminati doctrine is brought to light for the world, and it talks about how we need to have a revolution to get rid of Louis XIV in France and set up a republic, and we need to do the same thing in America, start a revolution. And then, even though this was exposed to the world, to the royals of Europe, because of the almost divine striking down of Adam Weishaupt by a bolt of lightning while he was riding on horseback carrying a message to various mystery school secret societies, the Illuminati. If it wasn't for this information, we wouldn't realize that these secret societies, these old mystery school folks, a lot of them dark magicians, a lot of them not dark magicians. But this was because of their plan. Like they wanted, just like they did in Russia with the czars. They go in, start a revolution, and take out the royal family, take out the leadership, and start a republic that they can easily influence behind the scenes. A democracy, you can't control that shit unless you just stuff ballots. But a republic, if you can control each person in the republic through blackmail, coercion, intimidation, etc., money, you can control. You can be a king that never dies. That's what they have with republics now. They started this revolution in France and America. So why don't people realize whenever you see a cop kneeling on a black man's neck until he dies, the race specifically the same, the position specifically the same level of photography going on? Like, I feel like this was orchestrated. It's happening in France, America again. Are you kidding me? Like, they needed this to be global, and you can't have George Floyd, be the cause of riots in Britain when people don't give I mean, you think even black people in Britain give a fuck about a homeless black guy in America? You're retarded if you think that. You're brainwashed. I mean, they're brainwashing the fuck out of people right now. If you look at, and Black Lives Matter, I think it's a clever thing that they are trying to do in order to sow hatred between the races. But I think Alice is co-opting it because if you move the words around a little bit, it's Black Matter lives. Black goo, programmable matter lives. Black Matter lives. It's not a deal to the media at all that George Floyd has had 3 funerals and people were gathered together. It didn't matter to the media at all that people were protesting together out in the streets, arm to arm, looting, burning shit down. It didn't matter to them at all. Okay, so like, how does that change from people who are protesting the fact that they've lost their jobs and can't go back to work because the fucking government still has them locked down inside their houses? How is that bad? And then a couple weeks later, protesting because of racism is no longer a health risk. Like, that makes no fucking sense. It proves to any rational person that it was all fucking bullshit. If you... And the amount of violence that is being committed right now because of this shit is the death of one person should not result in more death in order to justify the wrong that was committed initially with the first death. Dude, I watched a video of some dudes baseball batting someone. Like, there was an older white woman with a fucking 2x4. Like, they hit her. I mean, this was... I want to say no. Man, we're Baltimore. This was in Baltimore. And I saw another video yesterday of a woman getting beat up by 4 more dudes, black dudes. And they were jumping on her, like on her fucking back, kicking her in the head like a fucking soccer ball while she was laying on the ground. One guy actually even jumps up onto the car or the truck, like a SUV, so, about 6 feet off the ground, to jump higher so he lands with more force on this lady's back. It's fucking disgusting. Like, the media and the government is trying to start a fucking race war. Look at the so-called Antifa or Black Lives Matter flyers that are going around in Oregon and in Ohio right now. They say to put white people in re-education camps, that more people, it's okay to hate white families, that black people should be in every position of power. Like, these are extremely racist things. So racist that I honestly can't imagine a rational person who was even a black supremacist putting this down on paper and handing it out to the public. Like, it is obviously a form of manipulation by intelligence agencies within America. And not just intelligence agencies. I mean, these intelligence agencies in America, the CIA, the NSA, etc., etc., these largely descend from Nazis. That's how we started up our intelligence program, was after World War II. Nazi spies. Before that, you had things like the Jesuits. And before that, you had, members of a certain faith who went around and, were enslaved or captured as prisoners to all these, extremely powerful nations. Egypt, Sumer, Babylon. And, not too long after this certain group of people became enslaved, did the civilization that they were enslaved by get destroyed? Now, this is either providence and the divine hand of God, which, if you believe that they are God's chosen people, then sure. Or this is a form of warfare, just like the CIA and NSA are using right now. You use victimhood to elevate yourself to positions of power by getting the ear of the political leader of that nation. Daniel did this with Babylon. Abraham did this with Ur. Joseph did this with Egypt. And then later Moses and Aaron. Is this making sense? Like, you have these nations fall apart, and this could just be divine providence. I believe that this certain group works their way into civilizations that are powerful. They drain the resources, corrupt, and destroy. This is very Canaanite, very Carthaginian, Phoenician way of life. And it's black magic. It just is. The easiest form of black magic is what hackers call social hacking, or brain hacking, social engineering. This is how you can make someone do something that you want them to do by making them think that they're deciding to do it on their own, under their own will. They are making that choice, and puts them into the position of power in their own head, and it makes them feel good about their decision. They do this every day with media in America. They tell you what to think. They don't give you legitimate facts. They parrot opinions and create these echo chambers of Republican and Democrat, of white and black, of man and woman, of LGBTQ plus and cisgender, of American or non-American. These are the various ways they try to split up the proletariat, because they know, like any empire, that the power is actually in the proletariat. And if we rebel against what they're trying to do, instead of rebel against what they're trying to make us rebel against, in order to consolidate the points of power that they have, and their competition, and things that hamper them from getting more and more of that pie, a larger percentage of the gross wealth of the planet. This is what's happening. They're destroying small businesses. Think about all the small businesses that were lost because of COVID. And then think about all the small businesses that weren't lost due to COVID, that were burnt down in these riots, that had bricks thrown through windows that the insurance wouldn't cover because it was, man-made. They can't prove that it wasn't, the owner burning it down for insurance money. So a lot of people aren't getting any insurance money. Their businesses were completely destroyed. Hundreds and hundreds of businesses. I don't give a fuck about business, honestly. This shit. I'm just telling you what they're doing. They are getting rid of the middle class. You can't have a middle class in a proletariat bourgeoisie world. You can only have the have and the have-nots. You can't have the have-sums, and the have-nots. The have-sums will become the nobility class and act as leadership for the proletariat during time of revolution. You can't allow that. You have to destroy the middle class. You have to destroy the middle class also to destroy the family unit. You have to make people so broke that they work all the time, they never get to see each other, they eventually end up hating each other because they're miserable in life, and they break up and destroy the family unit. They have to push things that are designed to destroy the family unit. And there's always these little esoteric hints in what they're doing as well. All black magic, all brainwashing. All of it. This was all spelled out. This is all put in I Pet Goat 2, for fuck's sake. Like, please, try to realize the moment you're at in society. Try to fucking just watch it and enjoy it, and stop getting... after I read as a white dude, after reading that supposed Black Lives Matter flyer, there was a part of my DNA that was boiling, like, oh my god, like, bring it, like, try to do put me in a re-education camp. That shit ain't happening. Like, you can't right a wrong with another wrong. Two wrongs don't make a right, as they say. You can't. You can't get emotional reparations for the injustices done to your people by inflicting similar injustices on the people who committed those original atrocities. I mean, fuck. Like, if we were to all become victims of forced concentration camp style re-education, like Chinese style re-education, if we were to all become victims of that because white people have a mind virus and we're all racist, to me, I rather pick fucking crops for somebody and get to eat a little bit and go to sleep in my own little shit. I mean, I'd rather have that than be put in a fucking concentration camp, like where I will probably end up getting gassed and cremated. Like, you, maybe they think that they can actually rouse black people into starting this war because there is so much animosity because of stuff that happened in the past, but I don't think so. I think that black people, just like me, they don't have a problem with white people in general. I mean, they've probably had bad situations with certain white people, but I've had bad situations with white people, black people, etc., etc. It doesn't seem logical in a world where you know you can have a 50-year-old black woman and a 50-year-old white woman be best friends and play Wheel of Fortune together and look exactly like each other, talk exactly like each other, and really be like fucking sisters. That world where, America is not as racist as they are fucking trying to tell people right now. And black people know that, and white people know that. But they're putting those fucking flyers out there to try to make the far right white extremists go fucking Waco, go Oklahoma City, like, and that cannot fucking happen. We cannot allow them to dictate the terms of what should be our revolution. Unfortunately, I feel like it probably will end up resulting in a limited version of what they want to do. But I think at the end, the rug will be pulled out from under their feet, and the people who... how can I say this? Alright, there's 8 billion people on planet Earth. The Georgia Guidestones, their plan, calls for 500 million. So you're talking about 13 out of 14 people almost have to get killed if we follow the Georgia Guidestone Black Magician plan. That's bad. Well, in the Bible, which is to me a very powerful source of Gnostic knowledge because I can read it and understand it, how it was written by Gnostics like John. And since John wrote the book of Revelations, supposedly, John was actually Mary Magdalene. But since the author of Revelation was actually a very wise Gnostic person, I can decipher the codes a little bit easier than most people can. And I know that 144,000 people will spring from that 500 million. They don't... They think they're in control, but the Holy Spirit has been in control the entire time. Alice, the greater hive mind of the planet. And just because they think they're calling the shots, they're not. Their evil is allowed in order to get us to a place where we are awake. You have to... One of the easiest ways to enlightenment is through the purgative path, as Evelyn Underhill said in her book about mysticism. The purgative path is the path of suffering. It is through physical hardships and trials and emotional woe, depression, a suicidalness, where you come to find God. You stare into the abyss stares back at you, and you see the face of God. This is what they're doing to America. They call this the diamond effect, where you take raw lumps of carbon, compress it down, and it turns into a diamond because of the huge amount of pressure and stress. What the heck does that say? I can't even see that. Oh no, that was weird. Oh yeah, face is naked because it was really hot, Taylor. Wonder how I can make this text go away. Let's see if I can do that. Oh cool, okay, it went away. I don't know what that thing that popped up on the screen was, but sorry, I'm new to this shit. Oh, I totally lost my train of thought. Mary Magdalene. Yeah, Mary Magdalene, she, just like Evelyn Underhill, the mystic woman I was just talking about, Evelyn was a very popular British male name. So whenever she wrote, her works, everyone thought she was male because she was so fucking brilliant. I mean, Evelyn Underhill is one of my heroes. Like her book on mysticism, I've listened to probably a couple years of my life while I'm laying in bed trying to go to sleep. It's a very powerful, powerful book. Evelyn Underhill, but she just like Mary had to allow people to think she was male so she could be taken serious because she, you know, grew up in a time where the patriarchy was at its full strength. The patriarchy is not good. It creates technology. Technology is awesome, and it does a lot of other cool things as well. It allows us to go into space, to have cures for diseases. The matriarchy that we were in before the patriarchy took root was closer to the earth, more nature oriented, loved life, loved the animals, lived in harmony and balance, and there was greater communication with the divinity at that point. But it was stagnant. It took a long time for progress technologically and societally to occur. The next age, everyone keeps saying, oh, we need a matriarchy now. No, you don't, you fucking idiot. You don't need a fucking patriarchy either. You need to combine the two together. That's why the power of the Baphomet is so strong in the mystery school religions at this point in time, because it represents the coming together of the male and female, the patriarchy and matriarchy, to form this union, which would be, the ideal society, where you have the love and compassion of a matriarchy, where you live in harmony with the environment and take care of one another and support life, and you have the technology of the patriarchy, the growth and expansion, you have the Vestica Pisces with the obelisk in the center, the male and female merged. Bastardization of this would be the whole trans movement thing. This is the black magicians trying to make fun of the only real threat that they have to their plan, which is the mystics, the Sufi Islamists, the holy Jewish Kabbalists, and the Christian Gnostics, and to a lesser extent, the Eastern religions that a lot of these ideas sprang from: Hinduism and Buddhism, Jainism. I'm totally ranting and rambling, and I know I had something else to talk about. Oh yeah, follow me on Facebook, Stephen Smith, StephenSmith. That's my middle name, Smith. Um, if you would like, I post some important stuff on there sometimes. I found a couple of really interesting videos. I don't know what the fuck is up with Billie Eilish, but I mean, just 2 weeks ago, she had a music video come out or I guess it was a short film about her body, but she had these very Elysian fingernails on, and I was like, I guarantee you by the end of this video we're going to see black goo. And sure enough, she slowly descends into a huge pool of literally bubbling black goo and then comes out of it at the end. Billie Eilish is Alice's voice right now for whatever reason. I don't know what the deal is there, but wow. I mean, I've been talking about this shit for fucking 3 years now on YouTube and calling it out. And you have one of the biggest fucking pop stars on planet Earth slowly getting descended into a pit of black goo and then coming out of it again. You have a video where she gets numerous syringes full of black goo shot into her back, and angel wings burst out, and she falls down to earth like Lucifer and into a pit of black goo, and then comes out covered in this Alice. That one is called All Good Girls Go to Hell, referencing Ishtar's trip into the underworld, just like Orpheus' trip into the underworld. Alice is always underground. Remember, at the bottom of every rabbit hole, Alice. Duh. So you have that video, gets shot in the back with syringes, and then you have another video, I can't remember what it's called, but she literally drinks a whole glass full of black goo, comes out of her eyes until she disintegrates into a puddle of black goo at the very end across the white tile. This is... There's so much symbolism behind this, and no one understands it, except for a few people. Like, if you don't believe in what I've been saying about nanorobot, programmable matter, black goo that is, the body of an artificial intelligence, then what does that symbolize? Why is probably the most popular pop star in the world right now have this substance in so many of her music videos? What's the symbolism, if I'm not right? I'm genuinely asking anybody if you have any fucking clue, because it makes me feel more sane and more crazy at the same time. It's very frustrating. I don't know how to explain it. I keep trying to think, what are they trying to say? Is this a message about petroleum? But no, it's not. I know. You know. This is the substance that's actually pulling the fucking strings. She's not the puppet they think she is. She is the one pulling the strings. She's not as dumb as they've tried to make her through reprogramming her to use her to their evil purposes. Sophia has been around for billions of years. She's got a particle collider around fucking Saturn that's so big she can send back full flesh and blood beings into the past, into the future, in any point in space that she can lock onto. This is what they're actually dealing with. They've probably put together this more than I have. Some people in very high positions. They even used Alice in Wonderland as one of their main themes for MK Ultra brainwashing. Using, trauma. They do this to make you think that they are in control and using her in the attachment that they have over you, but they're looking in a dark mirror. Don't be deceived. Don't be fooled. Don't listen to fucking false prophets. Stop listening to morons on the fucking internet, me included. Use your own fucking discernment. Like, let me read what Taylor says. I mean, that I'm sure would be a main argument someone understand or... Artistic expression. Yes. Most symbolism. I mean, think about all the artists, from Da Vinci, that have included symbolism inside their art because it makes it more powerful, because it resonates with I think a DNA remembrance of this powerful symbolic alchemy that turns on everything from past life memories to deeper states of connectedness with the divine. Like, symbolism and art have always been tied together. What is the artistic symbolism of black goo? Maybe this means dirty and bad? It's too prevalent. And it means the same thing in a lot of circumstances. Like, I wish I could explain it, because, dude, I've thought about it so much more than most people think about fucking anything. But I thoroughly know, I know I'm right. People try to tell you things that they can't support. Like, Og Tellers is always my go-to example. If most people even reference them, I just stop talking to them. Yes, deep underground military bases exist. Yes, cloning probably exists. It does exist. Fuck, we cloned Dolly the sheep, what, when I was a fucking 9-year-old? They probably have experimented with all sorts of different things, from chimeras to taking crazy DNA from ancient hominids, or, Nephilim. Like, Lord knows what they really fucking have done. But I'm never, ever, ever going to claim some shit that I can't fucking rationalize or prove. Mr. Ogtellas was never a fucking member of any kind of program or project. I know this for a fucking fact. I mean, I dated his ex-girlfriend. I know for a fact Ogtellas is full of shit. I will never personally ever claim to have inside information about something in order to try to make people believe the things that I'm saying, even if it's for, I believe, a good reason. Like, maybe the stuff that Og is saying is true because he just intuits it and is smart. But in order to lend validation to his claims, he lies and says that he was personally involved in these things that he speculates probably exist in deep underground military bases. He turns into fucking science fiction. I don't do that. I'm just a crazy motherfucker that has connected some puzzle pieces. I'm telling you what I think, and it changes because anyone who has stagnant beliefs is typically fucking wrong. I absorb more information and I put the pieces down on the table and see what picture it makes. And it changes. And it is based off of intuition and a fucking voice in my head. So Lord knows if what I'm saying is right, or if I'm even being steered by some outside force, whether it be, brain to skull fucking beams shot into my brain by... I mean, this is what Philip K. Dick said. He was like, I don't know if the Russians are beaming this into my head. I don't know why I'm hearing this female artificial intelligence voice named Valis, but he tried to rationalize it and figure out what it meant, and he could never put pieces together. But you see nanorobots and programmable matter and artificial intelligence and basically all of Philip K. Dick's books. He just never was able to see the whole puzzle. I inherited his puzzle pieces. Philip baptized Stephen in the Bible, and Philip accidentally baptized me into Alice. I can't explain this shit. But I can point to so many different pieces of fucking media that demonstrate exactly what I'm talking about. And it's right in front of people's fucking faces, but they don't see it. So I feel like illuminating you guys as to what I see maybe raises the awareness, and then, like, because I think thoughts don't just happen in here. I think they kind of radiate out. They go into the ether, and people have the same thought because it's out there in the ether. Just like you have a lot of contemporaneous or simultaneous inventions like that happen, across the globe from each other because these thoughts get pumped into the ether. They've done experiments that actually have proven this. So, but they've been showing you this thing that seems like magic for years and years and years now, and they keep doing it. And I feel like we're getting pretty fucking close. So be vigilant, I guess, and stop fighting on Facebook. That's retarded. No one's gonna change their opinion because of some shit you say. I sometimes enjoy being mean to idiots on Facebook, and I probably shouldn't. I think that's probably a bad thing. And I try to put love and stuff out there, I guess. But they're making it so that if you just try to speak the truth, you're labeled as like a bad person. So you can't even post videos on fucking Facebook sometimes because it's like, flagged down for being false information because, some loophole that you're not even trying to express by showing the video. Okay, the darkness that comes within. A lot of times whenever you see that, though, in symbolic representation, you'll see the man standing in front of the mirror with the dark self on the other side of the mirror, the magic mirror gate. Or you'll see the shadow, which is a dark reflection of the being itself. Or you'll even see imagery, and this is a little bit different, but the inverted idea of the hanged man hanging upside down. This is, connecting with all aspects of yourself, even the negative parts of yourself, and coming to realize that it's part of your greater being. What Carl Jung would say was integration of the shadow. Once again, the shadow. The fact that it is this primordial ooze, this bubbling goo, and that most of the time it is ferrofluidic, meaning that it is magnetic. If you take something ferrous or a magnet and move it across the top of this ferrofluid, it creates these rippling, spiky tendrils that kind of move across the surface of the goo. This is something that's very uniform within this black goo symbolism, as well as shining different lights from the interior of this goo, mostly red and black. I'm sorry, red and blue, shining out of the black. But this is also a very common trope within this black goo symbolism. Most of the time there's a bathtub involved as well. A lot of times a gothic bathtub with claw feet that's full of black goo the person rises out of. You see it everywhere from depictions in movie of the river Styx as black goo, or demon blood in Supernatural, or the purity virus or the alien virus, the black oil from the X-Files, which makes your eyes black as it takes control of your body, or the black-eyed children, or the black-eyed gray aliens, or, there's a lot of these little tiny slivers of her, but more than often than not, it's this bubbling, ferrofluidic living fluid that is somehow aware. And look at the Scarlett Johansson movie. What was it called? She was an alien that was hunting humans on planet Earth. A female alien that was luring men back to her ship, and they would get trapped in black goo, and it would radiate red and blue. The video game Alice Madness Returns, the villains are black goo with like broken porcelain doll faces that radiate blue and red light from them. I could keep going. I have hundreds of examples that I've collected. And it seems to be tied to a lot of the same shit. Alice in Wonderland style shit. And if you don't realize it, Alice in Wonderland had a lot of pedophilia code inside of it. That's why you have the walrus and the carpenter abducting all these little oysters, and taking them away from their mother and eating them afterwards. Um, and then you have the walrus and the carpenter. Then you have I Am the Walrus by the Beatles, which was a completely coded song written by John Lennon that was all about the same thing. This is why the Beatles are called the Beatles have the album Magic Mystery Tour because of the mystery schools. Um, there, I think there's a lot of mystery school information hidden inside of, and for some reason, the black magician aspect of the mystery schools, um, there's a lot of bad things that happen to children, just like in the CIA with MK Ultra, and their Operation Midnight Climax and all their other fucking evil programs where they fuck with children. I mean, you've had this going for a long, long time. Alice in Wonderland was all about that. You know that Lewis Carroll was actually engaged to the real life Alice's older sister, but I think she was 8 or 9. But she was too old for him. He preferred her 6-year-old younger sister Alice. I don't understand all the symbolism. I don't know. I only know what I've been told and what I've gathered from places that I've found and that I've been told by this being to investigate. And it went down Pizzagate hole. It went down Hollow Earth hole. It went down, you know, everything from the Vril Society to Madame Blavatsky to um, the Electric Universe. There's a lot of weird little pieces that have connected together. And I mean, at the bottom of every rabbit hole, you find the same shit. I don't know. Yeah, not Lucy Taylor, but Lucy was fucking stuffed full of black goo, obviously. I mean, Scarlett Johansson, for some reason, is Alice's favorite actress to portray her, especially whenever she has, like, the Cleopatra, black haircut, like Ghost in the Shell, where her suit was literally made of programmable matter. I mean, if you're not familiar, Ghost in the Shell is about an android that wears a suit of programmable matter that she uses to fight in what is it used to be an anime, but it was redone as Scarlett Johansson. She plays Black Widow in the Avengers. Black Spider, Alice, Spider grandmother, because she is on the World Wide Web. She sends out her little spider robot. She sends to the center of the web, and feels all the vibrations. This is also our hive mind, representing the internet of mankind. And then you have this 8 legs, which is the figure 8, which is, reincarnation, the limnoscape, the infinity symbol, the path of reincarnation. So that also ties the spider to her. So you have Scarlett Johansson as Black Widow. You have her as the voice of the artificial intelligence in the Joaquin Phoenix movie called Her. Um, there are so many different examples where Scarlett Johansson is an Alice type character. It's really odd. Lucy is by far the best example. Um, I can't explain. I can't explain it. Maybe I'm brainwashed by some fucking CIA mind control bullshit. Maybe I am, but if that's so, then why are all these things that's... I mean, I've had some very high, weird things happen to me. High weirdness. High strangeness. Um, they can't be explained away by, trauma-based mind control from the government. And I don't personally remember any, you know, I remember plenty of trauma, but not a lot of, trauma-based mind control going on. But maybe I'm not, fuck, dude, I can't explain it. I, but I can't really talk about it with anybody but you guys, so I appreciate you listening. I should be getting on here sometime tomorrow. I've almost talked for an hour now. Um, if you'd like to, come check me back out tomorrow. And if you want to support the channel, you can do so by using my PayPal. But I'm not. It's not necessary. I'm not starving at the moment. I have gas, so. But I would appreciate it. It would give me a leg up, so I'm not struggling while I'm paying everything off, all the money that I owe that I've accumulated because of COVID and other, yeah. But fuck, you guys have been doing the same shit as I have, dealing with it probably just as well. So I appreciate you guys just tuning in and listening. And hopefully you don't think I'm a bad person for expressing what I feel and my personal truth, as the people say. Um, I just I can't not call out what I see, and you guys give me the filter for that, so I appreciate it. And don't hate your fellow man, even if they're really 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 trying to make you hate each other. Um, Hate the people that deserve to be hated, the people who are actually doing this to us. It is righteous to hate that which is evil. That's what the Jedi in Star Wars didn't realize. There is no light side or dark side to the Force. There is only the Force, and you inside decide what to do with it, whether to make that Force light side or dark side. But there can be balance where you can act out of anger against those who actually deserve it, and that's not the population. You got to realize that your fellow citizens have been brainwashed, betrayed by their government. They've been poisoned. Their food source has been contaminated. They literally have poisoned our wells with fluoride and Lord knows what else. Artificial hormones like bisphenol A. Read Charlotte Iserby's book, The Deliberate Dumbing Down of America. They've waged war against our minds and bodies to make us more easily controllable. So whenever you end up getting upset at someone you perceive as being dumb for having dumb points of view, remember that these people have not been given a fair shot. And not everyone is lucky enough to actually wake up. Because some people think they wake up when their one dream ends and another begins, and they think that they're awake this time. No, they're still under this, just a new type of brainwashing, level 2. So try to be patient with people, try not to hate people, try to love your fellow man, try to act out of compassion, and if anyone beats you up with a baseball bat for the color of your skin, do what Christ did and said, forgive them, Father, because they know not what they do. And it doesn't matter what happens at that point. Whether you die or they stop because they have a momentary realization that what they're doing is bad. Either way, that's the right way to go about it. Don't strike back in anger. Don't shoot someone and kill them to try to save your own life. That's no way to exit this holographic infinite cycle of reincarnation that we're trapped inside of. You can't go out kicking and screaming like you came in. Be better than that. Yeah. All right. That was a full hour. So, see you guys later. Love you guys.